в том числе с продуктовой точки зрения.
Да, я слышу там
как вообще с этим?
Да, я слышу, как Kseniya работает, как Kseniya говорит.
Да, нужно в первую очередь понимать, какие
Так я не могу его проверить,
преступления.
потому что реагирует на Kseniya. Дим, включи наушник.
беспилотное
Alt-A. Ничего не
ПО.
произошло. Так, я говорю, вы меня слышите? У меня микрофон Alexey, I'm passing the floor to you. And so thank you, Kseniya. Thank you very much. I'm happy to welcome. I hope you can hear me quite well. My name is Alexey, and I'm head of the department of the handling of malicious software. So I would like to share with you the data of our product and with some statistics and some specific interesting cases. Now let me show my demo and the presentation, and we shall start it. So that's a picture that's supposed to be up and running. Yes, that's a picture that I hope you can see. Let me wait it out a minute and let's go. So let me give you some general statistics in order to make it clear what we face. So there was a survey that we made at 6 a.m. The number of events registered by the system from the start of the event, so from 12th to 16th of November. And we discovered that more than 5,000 events related to malware were detected in the system, and approximately to 2,400 unique samples. And our team validated all these samples over the 4 days, all the 5,000, and we actually broken them down into 42 families, like groups, which I would like to describe in more detail. So the slide features the statistics of distribution of those families. So we have kind of 10 of them, which is generally is the product that we study. So 48% is so-called the attempt to exploit the vulnerabilities 9993. So this is vulnerabilities in Adobe Acrobat Reader. So it has to do with the fact that when you open a specially treated PDF document, so it turns to remote resource and the server of the hacker. So if the protocol leads you there, so the user's computer is trying to authenticate or authorize at the computer of the attacker. And the process happens in such a way that the attacker sends a challenge that the client should actually solve and send back. And during the resolution of this test, in the response, they may some remaining data, and then the attacker will just study this ID data, and once the challenge will be addressed in the same way, so the data is right. So he has got your data. So half of the cases are like that, and the third cases, so that have to do with the most popular framework for attacks. It's called some exploit, and I'm sure that many of you heard about it. In this case, we actually use all different loaders that are made in such a way. So in fact, these are the different type programs performing the same activity. Load the more comprehensive tool for remote control. As a rule, this instrument would be used like MetaThreat, it's called. So it's fourth in popularity, and the third place is taken by another popular attack framework. It's called Cobalt Strike, and it's quite similar to the ones that I described earlier. So there are much less in the smaller pieces, but we have discovered so-called labels for the Microsoft Excel software. When you open the file, Excel from the external resource or HTTPS, the protocol links gets a formula, the usual Excel formula that you could probably saw many times, and those formulas may launch some kind of remote software, a code. And that's the way the attack would be carried out, through such means. And another case that we call Go Agent, because we have never seen a sample before. That was an executable PF file written in Gold language, and it was a comprehensive tool of remote access to a computer. It could allow you to load, upload, download files, to just throw tunnels inside for the horizontal network. So it's a comprehensive full-scale Trojan. And another one that I would like to mention is related to the first vulnerability. It's called DesContour. It allows you to authenticate in the internal resource without knowing the ID data through the puzzle hash puzzle ticket, something that allows you to successfully exploit the vulnerability. So as for the statistics of distribution, of breaking down the level of detection between the technologies, this slide features well, in general view, two technologies, so-called external engines that Kseniya mentioned, and actually our expert knowledge of expert department. So what can we see? We see that approximately 70% of cases, more than two-thirds of cases of antivirus product discovered, well, some malicious software, but in some cases it was not detected. So there are several viruses, 3 units, but still many pieces of malware turned out undetected. So this share would be covered with our expert knowledge. So in turn, we're showing it as is. So it's virtually our result of our 1-year effort in terms of supplying the expertise of the product detection rate. And together with the antivirus product, it allows to raise the detection level significantly. And still we have way to grow. And now we're switching to cases, preparing for this event. We gathered cases and now we have them in our presentation. And now as we were getting ready to demonstrate, I could collect some more fresh cases. I'll show you both because they're all interesting. We shall have 3 cases and then live cases. Look, so we detected this type of Trojan on the 14th of November at 1 a.m. And here is the identifier. How did it look in the product? So we captured a mail envelope with the extension of EML format, and the source, PTNAD product was the source, turned out to be the source. I'm showing it to you. And the protocol, SMTP protocol, was used for that. It's an envelope from the mail protocol. What next? This envelope has an enclosure that's called shell exe. And the analysis showed to our experts that it was a threat, so-called executable P file coded in the following way. So we had a letter directly having the executable file without use of any additional archives or any containers for disseminating, for spreading the virus. You know that some providers actually block the opportunity to enclose the file. So that's how we see. You see the external contours that were not made, but still at the behavioral analysis, we discovered that it was, well, we also detected it by the set of potentially hazardous behavior. And so we decided it was a Trojan. In this case, the sample tried to study the internal structure of the processor and then actually discovered the computer name and then went to some kind of long sleep into hibernation. So in order to probably repeatedly turn to the server in a while. That's another case. On the 15th of November, nighttime, we discovered the backdoor, the way it looked.
This is the source of the file interceptor. And so that's along the lines of different protocol like MAC, Convect. So that has this application, you can see it, NetDoc. And so that's an Office document, and as you can see, it's very small, so 105 bytes. But this document actually is a very widely spread machine to exchange document, and so. And as you see in the statistical analysis, there are no threats. Nothing has been identified. So once we launch this sample, and no threats have been identified. So the verdict was backdoor. The thing is that here we have the interaction with the managing server. We analyzed the traffic, and we identified the network activity characteristic of backdoor Trojan, and using this, so we identified and identified this event, and we detected it. Then another example, and then we'll move over to the different demonstrations. So then there's another backdoor we found, and here I was talking to you when I spoke about the statistics. So that's, I don't want to repeat the steps. So here's this the email executable file there, and so then a number of products. Behavioral analysis has been done. So then we found the malware. And so here we have two results, two diagnoses, two verdicts. First verdict is a Trojan downloader Win32 generic, and the second one is behavior backdoor. So the thing is that this verdict was at the end of the day was done. So then the product was formed in the process of this. So when they worked against each other, so then immediately we did the behavioral rules were written immediately, and so then we added it to the product, and then later when they started to use it, and then they identification took place. So that's a good example of how you quickly can respond to certain things and find them in the structure. So now let me go over to the browser and show you some more examples. So what we have, I'll stop the illustration. So then I'm going to the browser. A couple of seconds. So the picture is on the screen. Yes. So we need to reboot the dashboard. So this is the product, as you see. So in the last 7 days, starting from November, so there was just some test launches and nothing, but certain activities have been covered. So you can see that the flow rate of malignant software, and it was just growing and growing. In the last 24 hours, we have gotten half of all malware objects compared to all the preceding period. And with regards to the splits, so it's November 16th, 3 hours ago. So what we had, so then this envelope, so then a good PDF was inside of this envelope, good PDF as we call it. So it would be good if we didn't manage to statistically identify it, then it would be good. And that's a good example of the PDF document that actually exploits the vulnerability of the statistics. And so there is a leak of a certain material, and they sent lots of spam just all night was being received, and during the day, and so lots of spam. What they're trying to do, we don't understand, spamming us. And so then another case was 15 minutes before the beginning of the broadcasting. So here we have this envelope, CVIQUI, then another, it was kind of a diversion, this one, but the second is the IQI file, the so-called, so the label for Excel. So the result of the analysis suggests statistical analysis tells us. So this is the loader, and there is nothing. So then there could be a question why. In this case, the statistical analysis didn't show anything. The thing is that it's not that obvious, but this one, so then this just chart tells us that there were very few events. Usually So this sample tried just to connect to the managing server, and probably it failed to do that. In all probability, must have failed to establish the connection. And you can see there's this office queries and the addresses. It looks like so there is he couldn't even connect to the managing server. So there are situations when there's a query, but the server doesn't respond. It happens very often. So when there is when they're played against each other, so the server works 5 minutes and then doesn't work for 5 minutes, then 5 minutes later starts again to operate properly, and it happens very often. And so then it stopped working very quickly. And why it worked or not worked intermittently, we don't know why the server behaved in that way. So another example, so here is, this is the classical example. So Office, a Microsoft document, so as a file. So this document has additional code that can be executed. So then in Microsoft Excel, as you see, so then our rules identify the thread. There's an explanation to that, because the availability of macros in the documents is bad. So there are documents which have legitimate macros, which is good, and so some are illegitimate macros. But from the viewpoint, so if we study the network, so this product, when you put it on the monitoring mode, it makes sense to develop this identifying logics, so that not to let the macros documents, the documents loaded with macros into the system. So better to weed them out, and so that's the way. So this identification worked in this case very well. So then another example. So I just skip things, skip to the end. And so this was the morning. That was this morning here. So this is a new approach. So this is a script. There's a script on TV, right? About TV, VBS. Then what we have here is this ideal state when we identified everything. So we identified. So this so this coded BC4, we found it, but inside the script, so there is another file inside which is coded, and we found it. And so here, so the behavioral analysis worked very well. So let's see how it worked. From the viewpoint of the behavioral analysis, nothing was identified, although just you see that something is wrong, something's happening here. So you see that there is another process going on, and with a strange name, very small in size. Here in the memory dumps, we identified malware. In this case, this is dump was analyzed by antivirus engines, and they identified certain activity. So then this is the story about how that it's useful not only to take the sample and analyze it properly, but it's even better just to, when you get those artifacts, to put them through the analysis as well, and for the components. Another example. When in this case, when the sample was identified with the help of the behavioral analysis, and so then the network identification takes place, and so then there is a contact discovery, and we identified so then the code, and we have seen already similar cases. So there are lots of examples. I think that is enough with examples, and we cannot cover many more. But you have the general idea of what it works and how it works. So I'm done. Thank you. Thank you, Yosha. That's very fresh information, just fresh from the horse's mouth. Yes, excellent. Yeah. So now, colleagues, we have just a few minutes left before we finish, and I wanted to discuss certain. Are there any questions? So there is good information that we received as the behavior of the sandbox determines whether it will work or not, because there are more than 20 different ways to go around the sandbox that hackers use in their attacks, and so then you issued this sandbox in March this year. So then it goes back some time. So, but why have you decided just to go with your sandbox to such highly competitive market? Were there any obstacles for you getting there? I think that the main obstacle was it's obvious that this is the pandemic, the main obstacle, because to bring to the market the products at this time of the year is quite difficult against the background of pandemic. Why we decided to launch the sandbox? Because the sandbox is something, it's kind of something that we must have, and the instruments that it includes. So we have to have these instruments, this toolbox for any company who realizes the importance of this instrument, and that the companies must have. So, and then we have a lot to say about that. There is more to say. We introduce new technologies, and we think that we can increase the quality of protect. And for this, we invented optimization and other components of the product. We deal with traffic that is generated, and what our competitors don't do, and what we think that this class of products need to be certainly be available against the cybercrime industry of today. And so then the security instruments are the instruments. The instruments quite complicated in the everyday use, and your product. So what is for experts or just no? So let's start about this. So talking about experts, we'll get your take on that. It's much more interesting. So talk about the experts and then other people who use this machine as well. So then, so this product may operate. So then a low qualified specialist can work with it very well. Why? Because from the viewpoint of basic capabilities of the interaction and identification of the texts, etc. So then the components of the product, and so then so they can easily just weigh them, compare them, collate, and see what they look like. And they will know what to do with them later. So then it allows to download and analyze so then the dump of the process memory. So if the specialist has such skills, then he can get more information than originally is offered. So they can dig deeper. And then we can just go over the aspects of behavioral analysis. So then, for example, mind traffic. So there are specialists who know very well, so in the network protocols, for example, and so they get a bigger picture. And so then there is tracing of the behavioral analysis, a very convoluted big files, about 400, 500 megabytes files. And so if they have these skills to deal with such indicators, you're welcome to do that too. So then the range is quite high, depends on who is going to use it and how use it. And so there is nothing to hide. The more competence and knowledge of the operator to deal with the product, so the more information can be obtained from this product. And so we're not even talking about integration with other products. That goes without saying. It's a different story. When the product start to provide results from about the interior of the system, it actually enriches the general picture, and the security specialists can understand better what happened, what kind of incident occurred, and to respond in the proper way. Yes, and the final question. So now. So then against the background of attacks and the IP market developing, so what are you specifically investing and think about? So I spoke about that earlier. Let me repeat, we invest in the quality of detecting, quality of detection. And so we've done a lot of things on different angles aimed at its proper implementation. And there's an expert knowledge that actually our guys have put into the product, and customization, which is possible, that can be scaled up as well, and customize it to do it faster and more convenient, so that the client could operate in a comfortable atmosphere and just tune everything, anything that they need. Then we invest heavily into the quality of how the threats will be identified. That's what we're after. Thank you very much, colleagues. Now we have one more presentation at 5 o'clock, and this presentation will be dedicated to the network attack discovery. And so at this point, I will say goodbye to our colleagues. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Alexander. Thank you, colleagues. So till we meet again.